The drive to protect one's loved ones, particularly one's children, is one of the most profound and universal aspects of human psychology. Across cultures and eras, parents have demonstrated an almost instinctual need to shield their offspring from harm, danger, and suffering. This drive is not merely emotional, it is deeply rooted in our biology and evolutionary history. From an evolutionary perspective, the survival of offspring ensures the continuation of genes, and over millennia, humans have developed an innate sensitivity to threats to those they care for most. This sensitivity manifests not only as vigilance, but as a remarkable capacity for action when a loved one is threatened. It is a combination of fear, love, and a sense of moral responsibility that can propel ordinary individuals to undertake extraordinary, even extreme measures. At the heart of this instinct lies fear. The fear of losing someone we deeply care about, especially a child, can be overwhelming, often surpassing rational thought. Fear in this context is not merely a reaction to immediate danger, it is a profound recognition of vulnerability. Children are inherently dependent, their physical and emotional well-being closely tied to the protection provided by adults. When a threat emerges, the parent's mind reacts with urgency, scanning for solutions, mobilizing energy, and focusing attention with a precision that can seem almost superhuman. In such moments, ordinary limitations, physical endurance, mental fatigue, or even moral hesitation can temporarily fade, replaced by a singular focus on neutralizing the danger and ensuring safety. This is not a conscious calculation but a psychological imperative, the body and mind aligned to protect what matters most, sometimes in ways that defy conventional logic. Love is another critical force in this psychological equation. Unlike fear, which is reactive, love is proactive. It motivates preparation, vigilance, and long-term planning to create a safe environment. Love shapes the perception of the world, coloring potential threats with urgency and shaping the value we assign to certain actions. A parent's love is multifaceted. It encompasses nurturing, guidance, emotional support, and a relentless commitment to security. When that love is threatened by external forces, it can manifest in intense protective behaviors. These behaviors are not purely defensive. They often involve anticipating danger, evaluating risks, and, when necessary, confronting the source of harm directly. This love-driven protection is both selfless and intensely personal, rooted in the understanding that the well-being of the child is inseparable from one's own sense of purpose and identity. Moral responsibility further amplifies these instincts. Many individuals feel an ethical duty to intervene when a loved one is in danger, grounded in the belief that failing to act would be a betrayal. This moral imperative is closely intertwined with societal norms and personal values. A parent may feel compelled to act not only to protect, but to uphold a broader sense of justice or fairness. In extreme circumstances, this sense of responsibility can create internal conflicts, the tension between societal rules, ethical considerations, and the raw drive to safeguard one's family. Navigating this tension requires rapid judgment, often under immense emotional strain. The decisions made in these moments are rarely about personal gain. They are about rectifying imbalance, restoring safety, and ensuring that harm is mitigated. The complexity of this moral landscape illustrates how protection is not a simple reflex, but a deeply considered, albeit emotionally charged, psychological process. It is important to note the fine line that exists between protection and vengeance. While the desire to protect is instinctive and morally grounded, it can, under certain conditions, evolve into retaliatory behavior. When harm is inflicted on someone we love, especially in a manner that feels unjust or brutal, the emotional response may shift from defense to retribution. This is where the psychological landscape becomes particularly complex. The protective instinct, which is normally guided by prudence and care, can merge with anger, creating a potent motivation to act decisively against those perceived as threats. The mind may justify extreme measures as necessary to prevent future harm or to restore a sense of moral balance. This interplay between defense and retaliation illustrates the dual-edged nature of parental instinct. It can inspire extraordinary courage and resilience, yet it also has the potential to drive actions that carry significant ethical, legal, and emotional consequences. Studies in psychology and neuroscience provide insight into how these protective instincts operate under high-stress conditions. The brain's amygdala, responsible for processing fear and threat, becomes highly active, triggering the release of adrenaline and cortisol. These hormones heighten alertness, increase strength and speed, and sharpen sensory perception. At the same time, areas of the prefrontal cortex, which govern rational decision-making, work to assess the situation, weigh risks, and plan responses. The combination of heightened emotional arousal and focused cognition allows for rapid and sometimes extraordinary action. Parents may find themselves performing feats they would not have imagined possible, driven by an almost primal need to ensure the safety of their child. This physiological and psychological synergy is a testament to the power and complexity of the protective instinct. Beyond the immediate response to danger, the protective drive shapes long-term behavior. Parents often engage in preventive strategies, such as teaching children safety measures, establishing boundaries, and fostering awareness of potential threats. They cultivate resilience in their children, preparing them not only to avoid harm but to navigate the challenges of life independently. This aspect of protection is both proactive and educational, reflecting the parent's commitment to the child's overall development and well-being. It underscores the idea that protection is not solely reactive. It is a continuous process that integrates foresight, empathy, and ethical consideration. The psychology of protection also offers valuable lessons for understanding human behavior in broader contexts. It highlights how deeply interconnected emotions, cognition, and moral reasoning are, and how these factors converge in moments of crisis. Observing the lengths to which individuals will go to safeguard those they love can provide insights into motivation, resilience, and the ethical dilemmas inherent in human decision-making. It also serves as a reminder of the profound responsibilities that come with power and capability. The same instincts that can inspire heroism can, if unchecked, lead to unintended consequences or moral compromise. Ultimately, the protective instinct is one of humanity's most defining characteristics. It is a force that blends fear, love, and moral responsibility into a complex psychological experience that can push ordinary individuals to perform extraordinary acts. It is a testament to the depth of human attachment and the enduring value placed on the lives and well-being of those we care for most. Yet, it is also a reminder of the careful balance required when responding to threats. The line between protection and vengeance is thin, and navigating it requires reflection, self-awareness, and ethical grounding. By studying and understanding this powerful drive, we gain insight not only into the nature of human behavior, but into the profound ways in which love and responsibility shape the choices we make when it matters most. Anger is a natural human emotion, a response that signals when we perceive injustice, threat, or harm. It serves a purpose in alerting us to boundaries that have been crossed and in motivating us to act. However, when anger is allowed to dictate action without restraint or reflection, it can become destructive, not only to the individuals involved, but also to the broader networks of relationships and communities surrounding them. The consequences of unchecked anger and retaliation extend far beyond the immediate moment of perceived harm, rippling outward in ways that often surpass the initial act, creating cycles of violence, mistrust, and emotional turmoil that are difficult to break. Responding to harm with violence, even when an individual believes it to be morally justified, is fraught with complexity. Human beings have an innate sense of justice, a desire to see wrongs corrected and harm addressed. In personal perception, retaliation may appear as the only viable path to restoring balance or asserting dignity. The emotional intensity of the moment can reinforce this perception, making it feel not only justified but necessary. Yet morality is rarely absolute, and actions taken in the heat of anger often intersect with societal laws, ethical norms, and the expectations of community conduct. What feels justified in one person's mind may be legally impermissible or socially condemned, leading to repercussions that extend well beyond the initial act. This discrepancy between personal perception and broader societal frameworks underscores the importance of tempering reactive impulses with deliberation and ethical awareness. One of the most immediate consequences of responding with violence is the impact on relationships. Acts of retaliation can irreparably damage trust between individuals, families, and social networks. Even when directed at those who have caused harm, the emotional shockwaves affect bystanders, witnesses, and loved ones. Family members may experience guilt, fear, or shame, caught between supporting their loved one and confronting the reality of the violent action. Friends and colleagues may reassess their connections, questioning the reliability, judgment, and character of someone who has acted in anger. Communities can become polarized as observers take sides or fear the escalation of conflict. In this sense, retaliation rarely exists in isolation. It changes the dynamics of social networks, creating tension and uncertainty that can persist for years, long after the initial event has passed. The legal consequences of violent retaliation are another critical consideration. While human instincts may incline an individual to seek immediate justice, modern societies have established legal frameworks designed to regulate responses to harm, balancing individual rights with collective safety. Engaging in acts of violence, even with the intention of protecting or avenging a loved one, can result in criminal charges, incarceration, or civil liability. These legal consequences are often severe, long-lasting, and life-altering, and they may not fully account for the personal justification or emotional reasoning behind the act. The law by design prioritizes order and safety over individual notions of retribution, emphasizing the need for restraint and measured response. Violating this system in moments of anger can therefore compound harm, adding personal suffering to the initial emotional distress caused by the triggering event. Beyond relationships and legal ramifications, the psychological consequences of unchecked retaliation are profound. Engaging in acts of violence can create lasting emotional and cognitive effects, including guilt, shame, and anxiety. Even if the act initially feels empowering or justified, over time it can lead to self-reflection, regret, and moral conflict. The mind may grapple with questions of morality, proportionality, and fairness, especially as the consequences of the action unfold. Chronic anger and the pursuit of vengeance can also impair emotional regulation, creating a heightened sensitivity to perceived slights or threats and potentially perpetuating cycles of aggression. These psychological burdens highlight that retaliation, while seemingly immediate in its benefits, often carries invisible costs that persist internally long after external consequences have manifested. Communities and societies are also affected by cycles of retaliation. Violence begets violence, and when one individual responds with aggression, it can inspire further acts of revenge, creating escalating conflicts that are difficult to resolve. Neighborhoods, organizations, and even nations have experienced the destabilizing effects of retaliation when grievances are addressed through violence rather than dialogue or legal channels. These cycles erode trust, diminish cooperation, and foster fear, often leaving the original harm obscured beneath a growing landscape of conflict. Social cohesion, which relies on mutual respect, shared norms, and adherence to rules, can be weakened, illustrating the broader societal costs of individual acts of unchecked anger. The ethical dimension of retaliation further complicates matters. While there is a natural desire to punish wrongdoing, ethical reflection asks whether the act of retaliation truly restores balance or merely perpetuates harm. Moral philosophers and religious traditions alike caution against allowing anger to dictate action, emphasizing forgiveness, restraint, and measured justice. Ethical reasoning requires considering the long-term consequences, weighing harm against benefit, and acknowledging the humanity of all involved, even those who have caused injury. In many cases, restraint, and the pursuit of restorative solutions, such as mediation, dialogue, or legal recourse, can achieve justice without the destructive ripple effects that accompany violent retaliation. This approach challenges individuals to rise above immediate emotional impulses, fostering moral growth and deeper understanding of human interconnectedness. Another key consideration is the unpredictability of outcomes. Violence rarely produces neat or controlled results. Actions intended to punish or correct a wrong can inadvertently harm unintended targets, escalate conflicts, or create situations that spiral beyond control. Even meticulously planned acts of retaliation carry inherent uncertainty, demonstrating that the human desire for immediate justice often clashes with the complex interwoven reality of social and personal systems. This unpredictability emphasizes the value of patience, critical thinking, and ethical deliberation before acting, reinforcing the principle that anger, no matter how justified it feels, is an unreliable guide for long-term decision-making. In reflecting on the consequences of unchecked anger and retaliation, it becomes evident that human behavior is profoundly influenced by emotion, cognition, and moral reasoning simultaneously. Anger is a natural response, but it must be tempered with reflection, foresight, and ethical awareness. Retaliation may feel justified and even necessary in moments of intense emotional arousal, but its consequences extend far beyond the immediate target, affecting relationships, communities, legal standing, and one's own psychological well-being. By understanding the potential ripple effects, individuals can cultivate self-control, employ alternative strategies for addressing harm, and consider restorative or lawful avenues that achieve justice without perpetuating cycles of violence. Ultimately, the study of anger and retaliation offers broader lessons about human nature and societal functioning. It highlights the delicate balance between emotional instinct and rational deliberation, the interplay between personal morality and social norms, and the interconnectedness of individuals within communities. Recognizing the consequences of unchecked retaliation encourages a more mindful approach to conflict, emphasizing the importance of restraint, reflection, and ethical reasoning. In doing so, individuals not only protect themselves and their loved ones from unnecessary harm, but also contribute to healthier, safer, and more cohesive societies. Understanding these dynamics is essential, for it reminds us that while anger is a powerful force, the choices we make in response to it define not only the immediate outcome, but the broader trajectory of our lives and the lives of those around us. Human beings are constantly faced with decisions, ranging from the mundane to the profoundly consequential. Yet few situations test the mind and body as rigorously as high-pressure, life-or-death scenarios. In such circumstances, the usual rhythms of thought, reflection, and deliberation are compressed, and individuals must make critical choices under extreme stress, often within seconds or minutes. Understanding how stress influences decision-making and how preparation, discipline, and emotional control intersect with instinctive reactions provides valuable insights into human behavior, resilience, and the capacity to respond effectively under pressure. Stress in life-threatening situations triggers a cascade of physiological and psychological responses. The body activates the fight-or-flight mechanism, releasing stress hormones such as adrenaline and cortisol, which heighten alertness, increase heart rate, and redirect blood flow to essential muscles. The senses become sharper, reaction times accelerate, and energy levels surge. While these responses can be life-saving, they also have a profound effect on cognition. The heightened arousal narrows attention, prioritizing immediate threats but potentially reducing the ability to consider long-term consequences or alternative strategies. This phenomenon, sometimes referred to as tunnel vision, illustrates the double-edged nature of instinct. It enhances immediate responsiveness, but can compromise broader situational awareness. Understanding this balance is critical in analyzing decision-making under extreme stress. In such high-stakes environments, instinctive reactions often emerge as the first line of defense. These reactions are shaped by prior experiences, deeply ingrained training, and evolutionary adaptations. For example, humans have an innate ability to perceive danger cues, rapidly assess risk, and initiate protective actions. This instinct is indispensable when time is of the essence, allowing rapid responses that conscious deliberation might not match in speed. However, instinct alone is insufficient. Without guidance from learned strategies and rational thinking, instinctive reactions can be misdirected or counterproductive. A reflexive response may mitigate one immediate threat while creating vulnerabilities elsewhere, highlighting the importance of integrating instinct with deliberate planning. Rational thinking in high-pressure situations requires the ability to assess risks, evaluate options, and anticipate outcomes despite the physiological and emotional strain. Yet extreme stress can impair cognitive functions, including working memory, logical reasoning, and impulse control. Decision-making under pressure is therefore a delicate interplay between instinct and reason, each compensating for the limitations of the other. Individuals who have trained under similar conditions often demonstrate superior decision-making precisely because they have internalized effective responses. Preparation transforms complex tasks into automatic or semi-automatic sequences, reducing cognitive load and freeing mental resources for critical analysis. In essence, disciplined preparation allows reason and instinct to function in harmony, rather than in opposition. Discipline and training are particularly influential in shaping responses under stress. Experts in high-risk fields, whether in emergency services, military operations, or extreme sports, spend countless hours rehearsing scenarios that simulate danger and time pressure. This rehearsal strengthens neural pathways, creating patterns of response that are both rapid and adaptable.